what more can we expect from the segment as a whole? We are joined by Akshay D'Souza, Chief of Growth and Insights at Bizom, joining in with us this afternoon. Akshay, very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining in with us on ET Now, Akshay. And Akshay, I just want to start by talking about what we've seen coming in Q1 is, the trends that some of these companies have highlighted is that mass end products, that was not doing well, whether it was HUL or Marico. Both of them highlighted this, that in some of their categories, mass end products did not do well. One, have you seen such a trend shaping up even in July? And if such, then which categories were those that, mass end products did not do well while premium started doing well for these products?
So, first of all, thanks for having me, Vinny, again. One of the things that you are seeing shaping up after the Q1, I think one of the things that is here in Q1 is both urban, rural were under severe stress in the first quarter. While companies are definitely seeing input costs go down, we're going to see a lot of that playing out as a price battle starting now, which is August, where the festival season has begun. So I think you will see prices going down for a lot of products. You will see mass products coming back into, I think into focus. All that is already kind of playing out at the retail space. So that's something that's already there. In July specifically, we did see rural stocking pick up quite a bit. And this was largely at the Kirana level where we're seeing stocking for the festival season has started getting into place already. So categories like, say commodities, for example, branded commodities like edible oils and all of the others are seeing an uptake. Now, quick point over there is stuff like edible oil is now down almost 40% in pricing terms year on year. So it's still going to be pressure in terms of sales value growth. However, volume growth will definitely be there for that category. Now, the other major categories of consumption in festival that you will see is definitely confectionery. You will see packaged foods and branded commodities across the board. You actually are going to see a surge is what we expect in the festival season, which is starting in August. So that's the big shift that is coming. Rural already starting to trend higher, and I think urban will just follow suit. What we guessing.
Well, Somit, this side, what we are seeing is that urban growth has declined around 7%. So does this mean that the demand for premium products will go down and mass products will again start trending among consumers?
Yeah, so one of the, so we do a basic pack size analysis that we kind of do for almost all categories. One of the things that trends that started playing out in the last couple of months is that we were seeing a movement away from large packs into mid-size packs, which also is indicative partially of the fact that premium products were not as picking up as much as mid-size or even entry-level packs were picking up. So also it's to do with where the distribution is really happening. Right? I think if distribution happening in Kirana, you typically see smaller packs selling far more, and I think that's where really the whole growth engine is going to be driven from, especially coming in the festival season that we are up against.
Akshay, there's one more thing that is there, and some of these companies highlighted during their Q1 numbers was that regional competition, that was some bit of a worry that came in for the listed players. As well as, they started highlighting, and when we see a trend also that smaller companies started doing much better than the bigger players and the larger players in the FMCG or consumption pack, whether like a Mrs. Bector's versus Britannia. Mrs. Bector's did much better than Britannia when you look at it. Is there some trend or a shift that is coming in that sort that you are seeing in terms of consumers? And, obviously regional players coming back, that could increase competition as well furthermore?
No, I think that's a brilliant point, Vinny, because that competition is real. We are seeing this happen across the board and across categories where regional players are taking away market share in the pockets that they are playing in. Now, one of the big changes that is happening in the Indian distribution landscape is the availability of information, which was very restricted, and distribution being a USP for a lot of the large companies has now also become mainstream for a lot of the other smaller companies and becoming easily available. And I think that's the role I think that you're seeing, having that impact, where I think availability kind of comes in for those brands which essentially have good recall among consumers. But I think with availability, I think we're also seeing them now pull back on market share. And like you said, Miss Bector's, you will see the same in Anmol biscuits in the East. So I think you will see Britannia not just struggling in one place, but I think in multiple places because of this regional phenomena, and so also in the other categories.
When it comes to beverages, what we are seeing here is that in the month of July, the month-on-month fall was in the month of July, the month-on-month fall was around 39 odd % compared to June. So is this fall a normal trend? Because obviously in July it's a rainy season and the consumption of cold drinks goes down. But is the fall of 39% pretty much normal?
Yeah, so I wouldn't, to be honest, read too much into it simply because it's the end of the season. I think it also signals when rainfall comes, the season ends. What you'll have to actually see importantly is that year-on-year fall, which is about 23% for beverages. And I think that's the real challenge that beverages have had this season. The whole, the unseasonal rains that actually come, it's been a cooler summer than normal. And I think that has caused far more sales damage to the category than anything else has done in this year. And I think that's really the big category challenge, so to speak, and the pressure on numbers that you will see happening for beverages, especially the cold beverages that we're talking about in the category.
Okay. On QSR space, what is the kind of competitive intensity that you're understanding, given the fact that we understand that La Nino's opened just 40 stores in 1 month? So is the competitive intensity still high, and is it still increasing when it comes to the pizza category in a QSR space?
Yeah, so I think while consumption of food, international food and Italian food and all of that remains still not very mainstream, but it is only going to go up is when we see it, because we would see many more retail players coming into that space, trying to take away those niche categories and trying to build it into mainstream categories, not just in tier 1 or tier 2, but I think trying to go even deeper beyond that. And I think this phenomena, I think, is something that is here to stay and probably will play out over the next 5 to 10 years also, I think, from the retail side.
Right, and anything, obviously in the last couple of quarters, we have seen this trend also in QSR, Akshay, that is like in terms of pizzas, that is not doing as well as the burgers trend is doing, or burger sales are doing, even in terms of the numbers of the companies that are reported. Is that trend, do you see that continuing in July also, or, do you see that continuing for a long period of time now?
Yeah, I think, see, one of the things that you'll have to see here is the population to which it kind of serves, right? I think you will see a lot of this, consumption happening from the younger population. So you will see early jobbers, you will see students. Whenever you see, say for example, school, colleges, or younger population going back to office, and so on and so forth, you will see that consumption trying to spike. And I think the Indian trend so far has seen a higher shift to burgers as compared to pizzas, like you actually mentioned. And I think, but I do see that the other categories also have enough room to grow as they go just beyond, like I said, tier 1 and tier 2. There is enough room available at the moment to grow on the back of retailing that they can do.
Okay, Akshay, thank you so much, for joining in with us, giving us an understanding in terms of the consumption trends. What are the consumers looking at, and where should we be expecting it to going from here on? Thank you so much, Akshay.